Hi, my name is Kamaria. I'm 16 years old. Right now, I'm currently living in the sub-Saharan area of the continent Africa. It's not the only place I've lived, though. I've lived all over the continent because my dad is a merchant, so we move all over the place. When most people think of Africa, they think of culture. And culture is a very important part of our life here because it is something that binds us all together and is the one thing that I have to hang on to when we move that doesn't change. We all believe in the power of nature. We believe that our gods bless us with the things around us with things such as luck, medicine, and other superstitious things that we believe. When I was a little kid, our religion first started off as Christianity, but later changed to Islam. So that means we went from believing in one god to believing in many gods. Our political structure here is like a hot mess sometimes. We have what are called stateless societies, which means we don't have states. We just kind of form big groups of people, often based on kinship, and we select a king for our area. Right now, our king is King Beleto. All of our kings have something called a gyrate, which has been a tradition here in Africa forever. The job of a gyrate is to write scripts about the king so that when a new king is elected, he can read the script about the previous king before him. Also, our government workers do not work full-time. My brother works in the political unit, and it's sometimes hard for him to support his family because he doesn't work so full-time, so the pay is cut. Living all over the continent has given me a good view on all the different economic structures. Africa is a very diverse continent, being split up into the north part and the sub-Saharan part. The north part takes after the Mediterranean and the Arab. The sub-Saharan part, where I live, is split into several parts, such as the south, east, west, and central part. Our main trade route starts in Mali and connects to the northern part. It is called the Trans-Saharan Trade Network. This is where my dad currently works. I love going to see the trade centers with him, especially when I was a little kid. And sometimes they would even let me work too. Opening a new package or something was so cool. They traded things such as gold, slaves, cloth, pottery, glass trinkets, salts, and spices. I always loved looking at the gold because I would love to think of what beautiful jewelry you can make out of it. Something my other brother was very interested in was the trade of agriculture. The whole shift to agriculture took a while, and every time we would move to a new society, they would be in a different spot than the previous one. We also started something called metallurgy. It is the practice of making tools from metal, and we use iron and steel to do this. It's kind of unheard of because most people start off with copper and work their way up. Even though moving everywhere can be tough, it gives me a good experience because I get to see how all the advancements affect the different areas. Overall, metallurgy has given us advancements in our tools, it's given us our first indoor heating system, called the furnace, and advancements in agriculture. I began learning the Bantu language when I was just old enough to speak. When we first started moving, it wasn't anywhere far, so people spoke the Bantu language. But the farther away we moved, the more it changed. It was hard for me to adjust to all the different languages, but it didn't stay like that forever. When I was about 7 or 8, trade routes were developed. Then when we started our agricultural developments, such as planting our first crops, the news spread in the Bantu language, and as trade became more popular, the language started taking over. The Bantu language was the main language the merchants spoke at the trading posts, so that was the language that my family spoke because my dad was a merchant. Then, by the time I was 10, it basically took over and became the whole entire official language of Africa. Africa is a continent with a lot of culture and heart. Living here has been such a blessing, and being able to live all over the continent has been a big blessing too. We may struggle in some areas, but every country does. I love Africa for all it is and all it has ever taught me, and I would never want to live anywhere else.